TV show. I'm Robert Gatewood, your host, and glad to be here on another Friday. It is January. February is about to end. We're about to go into another month. Folks, you better get busy out here. You're going to look up and you're going to say, what happened to 2021? But I'm not going to let that happen because I'm going to keep reminding you. I'm going to keep pushing you. I'm going to keep uplifting you. I'm going to keep inspiring you. So we're not going to let any grass grow under our feet in 2021. Not if Robert Gatewood has anything to do with it. I'd like to thank you for joining us today again. Welcome to the new viewers. And I have one question for you. Where have you been all this time? You have been missing all these great shows, but it's never too late. And I'd like to welcome all of the new viewers. The past viewers, my faithful followers. Just glad to have you back with us again on a Friday. We have a lot to talk about today. And in the meantime, just go, if you are new to the show, and if you want to share it, you can go to you can give them marketingpulpit.com. That's the URL. That's the website. And the show is streaming live right on the homepage of the Marketing Pulpit website. You can also find us on Facebook. You can find us on Twitter. You can find us on Instagram. You can find us on YouTube. And we are all things Marketing Pulpit. And also go to Marketing Pulpit on YouTube and subscribe to our channel. And that way you'll be able to get updates and notices and all that good stuff. And also like us on Facebook, like us on Twitter, like us on Instagram. And then we'll keep you abreast of what's going on. And if you're a business owner, you need to follow this show. Of course, you say, who died and made you king, man? Well, I've been around for a while. I've got quite a few creds, as the guys on the street might say. I have an MBA degree. That's a master's in business administration. I'm the president and CEO of Gatewood Marketing and Web. I'm an adjunct professor at Prince George's Community College, where I teach marketing and web strategies. I'm a consultant for the Small Business Administration for businesses in the 8A program. I've written 2 books, one called Played in Full, The Marketing Exploitation of Black America, and another one called Smarter Than the Boss. You can find out this information, go to Marketing Pulpit. You'll see the books on the right-hand side. And if you want to find out more about me personally, you can go to Gatewood Marketing or Marketing Pulpit and go to the About section. And I'm also on LinkedIn. Find out all you want to know about Robert Gatewood and why he thinks he has the knowledge and wherewithal to sit here and tell folks how to run a business and make money. Of course, I have my own business, which has been quite successful over the years. And so I'm a walking prototype of many of the things that I espouse on this show. And I have a long list of clients, some that you know, some are household names who I've been working with for the past 20 years. People like Joe Madison, Neely Fuller. The list just goes on and on. Radio One and so forth. So I've been out here for a minute. Now, that's not to sit here and toot my horn and give myself a big head. What I want to do is share some of this knowledge with you. Now, I have this marketing consulting company, and people pay me good money for the information that I'm giving to you at absolutely free. You say, why do I do it? Well, one thing is a good marketing strategy. We call that nurturing. We call that, communication type advertising. The other thing is I just like helping folks. And let me tell you something. I'm past that point in my life where I'm just out here trying to make a buck. And I've done okay. I'm not a zillionaire, but I'm doing okay. Now I want to help somebody else. I want to bring somebody else along the way. I want to say good morning to brother Gerald Brown tuning in on Facebook. That's a young man who really got it going on. He's a plumber. He's very involved in the community, family man, spiritual man. Just glad to have him following this on a regular basis. And everybody who's tuning in, good morning. We have a lot to talk about today. First of all, I am going to talk about this person who had a birthday this week. Let me see who that is. Oh, that's me, Robert Gatewood. So I'm going to talk about how you can help me celebrate my birthday. And it's going to surprise you. No soap on a rope, no bedroom slippers, no rims, no cakes, none of that. I'm going to tell you how you can help Robert Gatewood, how you can make him happy. And it's an acronym. I'm going to share that with you shortly. But first, what I want to do, I want to recognize somebody. This show has been a gathering place where we can kind of lick our wounds and pat each other on the back and wipe each other's tears as we lose some of our iconic members of our society. And today we come with that heavy heart again today as we mourn the loss of Cicely Tyson. And that broke my heart. Cicely Tyson. I tell you, I think the first time I came into being knowing about her, it was this movie. I think the autobiography of Miss Jane Pittman. I said, man, I don't know who this lady is. I like her blackness, her strength, but man, she can spit in a cup of water better than anybody I know. Man, she spit in that guy's water in that movie, and man, that was legendary. I was all done when I saw that. But I tell you a moral of that story. We'll talk about her some more, but the moral of that story is you just can't go around messing over folks. You just can't go around disrespecting people and not expect them to do some get back. And everybody, there is no such thing as impunity. Everybody can get you back in some way. If you mess with a beehive, he's gonna sting you. You try to take a dog's bone, he's gonna bite you. Well, that Miss Jane Pittman, she didn't have a stinger or any teeth, far as I could tell, man, but she had plenty of spit. So when you out there messing around with folks and trying to treat people like dirt, and they walk around smiling while you're doing it, don't do it. Look, just treat people right, and you don't have to worry about somebody spitting in your drink or stinging you or biting you. All right, anyway, that's how I came to know Miss Jane Pittman initially. She was in that movie. Sorry, I'm calling her Miss Jane Pittman. That's Cicely Tyson, but she was born in December 19th, 1924. She passed away on January 28th, which was yesterday. She was an American actress and fashion model. Many people didn't know that, and her career spanned decades. We're talking about 7 decades. That's 70 years. She became known for her portrayal in the in many of her movies. She has Emmy awards, Best Actress awards. She appeared in TV roles. Tyler Perry kind of hitched his wagon to her. She was in this movie Sounder back in 1972. And so I just want to say thank you, Miss Cicely Tyson, for letting us share your greatness. And I'm proud to say I was on the planet the same time she was. And so prayers to her and her family and fans. And she will be sorely missed. So we're dedicating this show to Miss Cicely Tyson, who passed away this week. Man, oh man, I hate these times when we have to mourn these great people. Um, and thank you for the birthday greetings, Mr. Brown. And thank you, Leon Gatewood out of out of Waynesboro, North Carolina. That's Holla. Leon has a nonprofit down there. And he's also a member of the Gatewood marketing team. He handles our grants and foundations and funding and nonprofits and things like that. And he's been working with the company now for the past year or so and helping us reach out to these folks who need help with their grants and fundraising and nonprofits. So thanks, Leon. And thank you, Luday Harley Chick Bennett, for the birthday greetings. And thank you, Clyde Gatewood. That's my big brother, OG of Gatewoods. Thank you for the greetings. So I'm going to start this show off by telling you how you can help me celebrate my birthday. So I did a piece. It's not a poem. It's not a rap. I'm not quite as prolific as the young lady, Amanda Gorham, but I do okay. I've done some writing in my day. I'm a songwriter on top of the many other hats that I wear. There's a couple of songs out there on the internet I've written songs for. I can copyright on. Don't need a new house to serve my God. I wrote this song with my brother Daniel. Mother's Day tune. So I got a little writing skills, but I'm going to share this with you. I'm going to call this poem Happy Birthday to Me. So if you're not sure what to give me for my birthday, I'm going to make it easy for you. Hold the cards, the soap on the rope, no more cakes. It's gut down here. It doesn't want any more cakes in it. No gratuitous quotations. What you can do is the following, and it's an acronym for the word birthday. So the B is for what I want you to do to make Robert Gatewood happy and to help him have a happy birthday. The B stands for be bold. Stop playing it so safe. Don't fear failure. I want you to fear stagnation instead. So the first thing you can do for me, Robert Gatewood, is to be bold. And that's a candle on my cake. The second thing you can do for Robert Gatewood is for the I in birthday is to inspire. I want you to encourage others. Be their cheerleader. Help shield them from the forces of negativity. So the I in my birthday, another candle on my cake, is for you to go out here and inspire someone. The R in birthday, I want you to resist. I want you to fight the forces of evil. Fight bigotry wherever it raises its ugly head. Sharpen your sword, polish your shield, and join the battle. Resist this ugliness out here. Now, for the T in birthday, another candle on my cake, I want you to think. Stop following the crowd all the time. Regardless of your view, if you find yourself following the crowd, even if they're going the right way, I want you to go around it, soar above it, tunnel under it, and if necessary, give it a moment to pass because I want you to be an independent thinker. Don't be a crowd follower. Now, the H, that's another candle on my cake that you can give Robert Gatewood for his birthday. Now, the H is for hold on. Be steadfast. Don't fold when the time gets tough. And we've seen a lot of that lately. I want you to hold on. Do this for Robert Gatewood on his birthday. Hold on to your beliefs. Sometimes that's the only thing you have to keep you going. Just know that there's a better day ahead. Take some of the emphasis off yourself. But hold on. Better days are coming. That's the H. That's another gift you can give Robert Gatewood on his birthday. That's another candle on my cake. The D in birthday is for dream. You just celebrated a dreamer a few weeks ago, Dr. King. And dream doesn't mean you sleep. Dreams mean to aspire, to think big, create something that's never been created, do something that's never been done. Understand that possibilities are infinite. So I want you to dream and think big. That's the D in the birthday. That's another candle on my cake. That's something you can do for Robert Gatewood on his birthday. There's an A in birthday. I want you to do this. I want you to act. Do something. Do it today. Stop procrastinating. Get rid of this perfectionism. An imperfect mile on time is better than a perfect inch that's late. So what I want you to do is to act. Whatever you've been putting off, been dreaming about, ruminating, contemplating, procrastinating, just do it. Go ahead. Sure, it might not be right, might not be perfect, but you acted because you can't get to the next step. You can't get up the ladder until you take that first step. So act. That's another candle on my cake. That's one more thing you can do for Robert Gatewood on his birthday. And the last one, I want you to, and this is the why, I want you to yearn. I want you to have a desire for something greater than what you can do alone. Let me give you a little tip here. If what you are yearning for can be done by yourself alone, you have set the bar too low. Ruminate on that for a minute. If you are yearning for something that only you can accomplish by yourself, you probably have set your bar too low. So what you have to do is yearn for a better world. Yearn for the things you want to accomplish. Be that person. Be that change you want to see in the world. But then you go out and find the pieces and the people to make it into a reality. So I'm going to say happy birthday to me, but I'm also going to say happy birthday to everybody out here. And when you're trying to decide what you can do for yourself on your own birthday, how you can share yourself with others, I'm giving you permission. I'm giving you creative license to use my poem. You can go to marketingpulpit.com, and right there on the first story on the homepage where you can watch the show live, there's a link that you can share. And that's what you can do for me on this birthday. Now, I'm going to take a quick break. When I come back, we're going to talk about some news items. And also, I'm going to share this with you before I go to the news. In case you're wondering why I give you news every day, what I've decided to do, and I try to keep it contextual, I try to keep it business, but I want you to look at the news somewhat the way you look at the stock market. You have to look ahead because, as I've stated on many occasions, we don't operate in a vacuum. But what happens in the news today can affect your success or failure tomorrow. I want you to think like supply chain economics. Think about the news now and how it might affect you tomorrow. That's why I'm sharing this. When I come back and we go through some of these news items, I'm going to supply some context so that we can better understand the news and how even when you're not listening to Robert Gatewood share the news, that you can look at the news on whatever source and look at it through a clearer lens. We're going to do that when we come back. This is the Marketing Pulpit TV show. I'm Robert Gatewood, your host. We'll be right back in a moment. All right. Thank you for joining the show today. I'm Robert Gatewood, your host. This is the Marketing Pulpit TV show. And yes, by all means, support our sponsors. These sponsors are people who have helped share our vision. They understand the importance of strong community and helping people in the community. And I encourage you to support these sponsors and support our businesses in our community. People think that it's hard to do that. But when you change your mindset, it's not hard at all. Yes, I do drive an extra mile or two. Matter of fact, about 5 miles to support the Black Bank in my community. And there's a Capital One right across the street. There's a Wells Fargo. Yeah, I might have an account there too, but I am going to support the businesses in my community whenever I can. Now, there's something happening the other day. One of my clients came to me. He was selling a product. He was just launching his new company, and he asked me if I wanted to buy his service. Let me tell you something. It was the last thing that I needed. It's like, oh my God, I would never use this. You put a gun to my head, I'm probably not going to use it. It's just not something that I need. Now I relayed that to him, not in those dramatic terms, but I said, well, I don't really need that. I I've already got something similar, uh, and it's just not the one that I want. And then he sat there. I could see that despondent look on his face, and then I had to go back and I'm going. All these things are going through my head. I'm saying to myself, do you buy something you really don't need just to try to support your community? Well, I'll tell you this. Yes, and let me put an asterisk beside it. Don't hurt yourself. Don't put yourself out. Don't uh, cut into the money you actually need. And sometimes it doesn't even mean buying the product that you don't need, but do find some way to support that client, support that person, particularly if that person is one of your stakeholders or somebody that you have some type of reciprocity with. Sometimes you may just say, look, I don't really need that product right now, but let me do this. Let me just put some money down for a future purchase. Let me support your whatever. Let me make a donation. But yes, we do have to keep this money circulating. And just because it's not something that you need right away, I think that it's okay. Now, I'll ask your opinion too. If you think that's kind of being a little over the top, but that's what I decided to do. I went ahead and bought the product, and well, actually, it's over there sitting on my in the corner right now. So I guess I had it when he comes back. Uh, but maybe I shouldn't. Maybe I just let him know that I bought it to support him, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. Now, sometimes you can't do that. Money is tight. You don't want to waste your money, but maybe you can buy it and give it to somebody else. Give it as a gift. Uh, Tell them to give it to somebody who needs it. I'm going to buy this, but I want you to donate it to somebody who really needs it. So there are ways to support people in your community without hurting yourself or being perfunctory, but that support be genuine. So I'm a big fan of that, and I feel like even sometimes people have done it for me. I've had people to come along and retain my services, and I never saw them again. I mean, even when I tried to find them, I couldn't find them, and I had to go back and ask myself, did this person do this just to support my show? I'll never forget about when I was just starting the Marketing Pulpit radio show. This guy was a big developer, and he called me up, and we had a conversation. I could tell he was just trying to stretch. He was kind of really trying to make what he needed fit into what I offered. And he said, well, look, this is what I'm going to do. My office is not that far from your office. I want to come by your office and let's go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and retain your services because I feel like you have something that I'm going to need at some point. I mean, that's been 15 years. And the guy never came back. I even sent him notes and thanked him and said, look, just let you know, whenever you need that service, I'm here for you. So yes, there is reciprocity. And if you do give, it does come back. So just because you don't need it, sometimes you can find other ways to support people. Let's talk about some news items. We call these our hashtag headlines. And also, if you have some comments today, then we'd be glad to share those with you. Um, if you have something a business you like to put out there and support, then also we can share that with the audience. If you have a story to share, by all means, let's have it. Let's have it. This is the Marketing Pulpit TV show, but we take a holistic approach to our audience, and we try to share to make sure that we get the word out and that we keep the conversation alive and uplifting. Let's see here. Let's talk about some news. Now, Apple has landed its most profitable quarter ever. And pandemic's not hurting them, but we're seeing a lot of that with these big tech companies. They are really raking in the money on this pandemic. For the period that ended in December 31st, Apple raked in $111 billion. Whoa, that's some serious cheddar, ladies and gentlemen. Now, of course, they've been strategic. These guys are really good marketers. They've been like they delayed the launch of the iPhone 12, and then that created this pent up demand. And we all know what that we call that one of those 5 reasons people buy. And what I call the top three is scarcity, security, and social proof. Well, when you delay the release of a product or you reduce the availability of it, what we call scarcity, that does drive demand. So you might look at that as as a pillar in your marketing strategy. Don't be so available. When somebody calls to make an appointment, don't look at your calendar and say, look, I don't have anything to do the rest of the week. So anytime you want. That's the best way to chase somebody away. What you want to do is say, look, hold on, let me just check my schedule here to make sure we've been see if I have some time to work you in. Suddenly the interest has just went up just on that statement alone. So Apple has mastered this. That's why they do these little timely releases and they never give you quite enough. There's always that pent up demand. And that's a strategy. That's a marketing strategy. Now the economy in the United States has had the worst growth since 1946. That's a long time. That's a long time. The economy shrank 3.5% in 2020. Now the second half of the year had a pretty good return, but the total year it was a really bad year for the economy. Now jobless claims have continued to increase. People looking for unemployment, and the less educated workers are faring precariously during this pandemic. We've seen an increase in college educated people. They're getting jobs. They're starting to bounce back. But people who are less educated, they're really doing some serious suffering right now in this pandemic. Now, this, as I stated earlier when I talked about how we interpret the news, okay, we got to think. How do we interpret the news? Think supply chain. Think supply chain. If you're seeing uneducated workers having a hard time, if you're seeing the economy is the worst since it was in 1946, that means needs don't evaporate. Needs just shift. Okay. I'll give you a good example. If the economy went down to zero, people will still need to eat. If the economy went down to zero, people still need a place to live. You look at Maslow's hierarchy of needs, that bottom rung, it never changes. Those needs are always going to be there. We call those basic human needs. They don't go away, they shift. So let's say if the economy went down to zero and nobody had a job, people won't stop eating. They will start stealing, robbing. You've seen some of these movies where they what do you call them? Catastrophic movies where they end up ending the world. These roving bands of people, they're eating up anything they can find. They'll kill you to get your food and eventually start eating each other. Think about that in a business context. So when you start hearing about these trends like less jobs, worse growth, think about where you can shift, where certain industries will start to improve. Mental health, believe it or not, is hot right now. People are stressed out. They can't get out the house. They're worried about their jobs. Their families are falling apart. So those industries there's two sides of every coin. So when one industry suffers, there's another industry that improves. If you're a job trainer, if you're a domestic violence advocate, people start beating up each other when times are bad. If you're in the security, people start robbing. So look at these stories in context. And here's another one that takes it to the other side of the coin. General Motors aims to go all electric in 2035. Okay, look, so fossil fuels are going to be a thing of the past as far as GM is concerned. So if I'm looking at like I've instructed you, if I'm looking at the news in a context, I would say if I am in the fossil fuel industry or in the supply chain, the downline, then I need to start making some type of shifts. And I can't wait to 2035 to start doing it. That's how you look at the news. So I'm not just up here saying this because I like to hear myself talk or I'm trying to replace the news channel. What I'm trying to do is help people understand that when you're in an economy as we're in, you have to look at everything. You can't just look at what's happening to you today. You really do have to look down the road. Bradley Thomas says, call me Benjamin Button. What's the secret? How do you get younger as each birthday passes? Well, Brother Bradley, I'm going to tell you this. I'm trying to keep up with people like yourself. I think Bradley and I are close to the same age. Every time I see Bradley, I think the same thing. But I think it's called living right. I think it's called not getting into the excesses. I don't smoke. I don't really drink a lot. I might have a glass of wine or a beer or something every now and then. I try to get some rest. I exercise. I drink water. Um, and for many years, I was working with a company called Diet to Go, and I ate that food for like I was like the senior vice president of marketing and business development. Of course, that and one of the perks of the job, they gave me free food, and so it kind of changed my eating habits. I was eating low sodium, low cholesterol, low fat, and it became a lifestyle change. So a lot of things, there are a lot of quilts, a lot of patches on this quilt, and I appreciate the compliment. And of course, sometimes you have to put a little take some of the gray out of your mustache every now and then, and things like that. I will admit though, my hair is a natural color. My dad and my granddad, some of it's coming in your genes. My dad, he was 94 years old when he passed away, and he still had black hair in his head. So sometimes some of it's genetic, but there's an old saying: you control your controllables. You can control how much water you drink every day. You can control whether or not you're going to walk the stairs or catch the elevator. You can control whether you're going to do your push-ups in the morning. You can control not to go to Popeyes and get their Popeyes sandwich and fight in line every day just because they can introduce a new sandwich. So I would say, like I say once again, Bradley, thanks for the compliment, and I do encourage everybody. That's why we have on the show on the fourth Friday of the month we bring in a wellologist, and she's another one who's really looked great. Who has maintained herself, and she encourages others to do the same. So we can all do something better to make ourselves, to keep ourselves in good shape. And so I encourage everybody to do as much as you can to keep that, not just for yourself, but for your family, the loved ones who are depending on you to be around. And if you want to see those kids graduate and your grandkids walk across the stage and get married, you got to take care of yourself. So if you're not just for selfish reasons, think about others. One more story. The 10,000 stores are forecast to close in 2021, says the new report. Goes back again, folks. Needs don't evaporate, they shift. So if you see one industry going down, that means it's like that silly putty. Something else is popping up somewhere else. We've been encouraging people. I've given out over the last few weeks, months on air, two worries or two things to keep in mind if you're in any type of business. These are two words or phrases you want to live by, and you're going to do better. I'm not going to say it's going to solve all your problems, but one, think safety and security of your stakeholders. That's your clients, customers, employees, funders, vendors, and so forth. Think safety and security. Whatever your service is, make sure it has an element that lets people know that you are safe. Your service is safe. It's safe to visit. It's safe to go on their website. It's safe to whatever. Safe to eat, ingest. You have to emphasize the safe. And it doesn't matter what industry you're in. You can be a plumber. You can be an attorney. You can be a roofer. You can be a mental health person. You can be a CPA. Put the safety first as one of your emotional hot buttons. One of my clients, MRS Tax, they have 3 locations in the DC area, and they've had to meander this pandemic like everybody else. But one of the things they've done, they've made safety one of the pillars of their marketing strategy. You come in their location, they still take people to come in because some people just aren't technically savvy. They got the shields up, they got the social distancing signs, and that puts people at ease. The other pillar, you have to inject some technology. What we call it, your distribution channel, how you distribute your products and services. you got to get on. You have to get on that bandwagon because some people are just not going to come to your place. They're just not going to do it. I don't care what you say. I'm an adjunct professor at Prince George's Community College, and they've matter of fact, we have a matter of fact, we have a meeting today at 11:30 right after the show, and they're going to once again walk us through the process of teaching these students virtually. We're using Blackboard, we're using Zoom, and the upside of that, ladies and gentlemen. So that's why also when I gave my birthday tips, the upside of that is that you have to look at these changes as not necessarily negatives. When I was teaching at the college, the brick and mortar way, that's where people came into the classroom and sat down. I'd have about five, if I had 10 people, man, I was spiking the ball. Well, the first class I did in on Zoom virtually, we had 35 people. Really. I mean, it just, and the same thing can happen to you in your business. It's going to surprise you. I'll use my other company, Gatewood Marketing and Web. I used to have maybe have one or two people to do a consultation in a month. They'd come over here and they'd go to the boardroom and we'd sit down and give them the coffee and the good treat, the royal treatment. So I'm saying to myself, now when this pandemic comes along and these folks can't get that royal treatment, then I'm going to have a drop off in people who are requesting consultations. Nope, not at all. Matter of fact, it went up about 6-7-fold. Doing a conference seems like now 2 or 3 times a day because it's more accessible. Matter of fact, I have a conference at 1:30 today. A real estate agent who's becoming an investor. He wants to become an advisor, consultant. And he contacted me. He was referred by one of my IT clients and partners. And I gave him the option of calling me. I said, well, we don't really encourage you to come by the office. And he hit that button and signed up for that virtual conference before I could even finish my email. So my point is, in your marketing strategy, include safety and security, and must include some type of technological, or it doesn't even have to be technological. It has to be make your service more convenient, where it doesn't necessarily include the face-to-face or physical contact. And you embrace those two things. I know it's like it goes back to the birthday poem. You have to be bold. This is a good time to take some risk. Good time to experiment because the cards have been reshuffled. The old way of doing things just don't apply anymore. So safety, and let's do that virtual, use some technology. We're going to take one more break. When I come back, we're going to talk about my sermon for the day. We're going to talk about growing pains and gains. And we're going to put it into the context of the pandemic. Growing pains and gains, because as I stated earlier, not everybody is doing badly. Not everybody is doing well. But regardless of where you fall on the spectrum, you need to keep these particular aspects in mind as you develop your business. So ask yourself, are you growing or are you slowing? That's going to be the question. And we're going to provide some answers and insight when we come back. This is the Marketing Pulpit. I'm Robert Gatewood, your host. We'll be right back in a moment.
If you do not understand white supremacy, what it is, and how it works, everything else that you do understand will confuse you. In all of these 9 areas of activity, economics, education, entertainment, labor, law, politics, religion, sex, and war.
Welcome back to the Marketing Pulpit TV show. I'm Robert Gatewood, your host. You can go to marketingpulpit.com and find out more about the service, the show, look at the guests, the past guests, look at past shows. I just flipped through that one day when you get a weekend when you're looking for ideas and you're trying to grow, trying to find out which steps to take, what to do next. Just something to spark your ideas. Just go through that and flip through the shows. They're categorized. You can type in a keyword and find a show if you want something on intellectual property. There's a show on that, a show on sales, a show on marketing, show on risk aversion, whatever, social media. Just go in there and you can find a show that we're talking about it. And so, and like I said, if you are one of my clients and you are retaining me, you're going to pay some good money for some of that advice. But we're offering it free as a way of giving back to our community and a way of helping you grow as a business owner. We're going to talk about growing and slowing. If you're a business owner right now, many people have they're hitting some rough spots, but many are not. Many are actually thriving during this pandemic. But regardless of where you fall on the spectrum, I want you to keep these components in mind and you navigate this. Now, the first thing I want you to think about is money and cash flow. Boy, oh boy, how you manage your money, whether you're growing or whether you are slowing, is somewhat different. And I'm telling you, boy, it definitely changes your mindset when you have cash flow. That's why many people, when Uncle Sam was offering up the PPP money, when they were offering up the EIDL, many people kind of sat on the fence and said, you know what, I don't want to get into any debt with the Uncle Sam, even though the thing had like a 30-year loan on it, and it's like 2% interest. It was really crazy numbers. So a $30,000 loan, you ended up paying about $100 and maybe $40 a month. So it was an opportunity I thought that many people should have taken advantage of. If we were talking about personal debt, I would have said, I'm pretty steadfast. Stay away from personal debt at all costs. It's not going to serve you well. But when it comes to business, you have to look at money differently. That interest that you're paying is actually an investment in your business, and it's actually tax deductible. So if you can get your hand on some money, what's going to happen is going to free your mind. And you need a good, clear mind when you're trying to make business decisions. But if you spend all of your time trying to pay bills and figure out where the next dollar is coming from, your business is not going to grow. So you need, at some point, sometimes the reason companies just don't progress ever, what they need is a cash infusion. Now, when you get a cash infusion, you have to believe in this product. You have to be all in. You can't say, I'm going to do this half-heartedly. But money management and cash flow are a foundational aspect of business success. And I'm telling you, many of the small companies that don't get off, that don't move beyond where they are, it's because they lack financial resources. Which is why I was saying that, look, I told people, I want you to know that this money is available, but talk to your financial advisor, make sure you have a product or service that's in demand, look at some of the supply chain economics factors that I've been talking about, and then go out there and make that bold move and make this business work, because you're trying to build a legacy. You're trying to build something that you can pass on. And many of these jobs that we have come to rely on, they're just not hiring. They're just not hiring. If you start getting over 50, 55, 60 years old, it gets particularly precarious. So you need to find something else. And sometimes the way to do that is to get your hand on some money. And they've released a new wave of money through the CARES Act. I guess they call it the same thing. We had Velocity talking about it on the show a couple of weeks ago. But just think about money and how it's going to affect the upward trajectory of your company. Also, you have to look at your accounting. Accounting is not just a matter of counting dollars or debits and credits. You really have to know whether or not you're making money. And it brings up another one of the foundational items I'm talking about between growing and slowing. You have to think about the lifetime value of your clients. That means when you bring a client in, how much money are you going to make from that client? You really need to know that. And sometimes it takes somebody takes a pencil pusher to sit down and figure it out for you. Because what happens, it leads to another one of our foundational You're not investing in the marketing it takes because you don't understand the value of a customer. You don't understand what that customer is going to spend over the lifetime with you. So you're making short-term decisions that's not going to serve your company well. This can very well determine whether or not your company is going to be slowing or growing. I want you to evaluate human resources, staff. Now, once again, I hate to say so many things come back to money, but many people don't hire or they lose potential sales and opportunities because they're not properly staffed. They figure they can do it themselves. And then, like I said, once your head is buried, there is some truth about that. You can't see the forest for the trees. So if you're a sole proprietor, solopreneur, and you spend all your time down into the weeds working on these projects, you're not going to grow, and you're going to miss opportunities because you really need to be out there developing that company, handling those sales calls in some cases, because you're also the head salesperson. Nobody can sell your service like you. So you have to evaluate your human resources needs, whether you're growing or slowing. If you are growing, when we talk about a graph, we talk about growth. Growth does not grow in a straight line. In economics, we call it steps. You usually grow in steps. You grow to capacity, then sometimes you go over capacity again before you invest in another resource, whether it's location or staff. With money and with planning, you can make those kind of decisions with confidence. You may have to bring in that person, and you may have idle capacity for a short period of time. That means you're spending more money on payroll than you should be on a regular basis. But if you're on a growth uh, accent, then understand that is part of growing a business. It's the same thing with location needs and other types of resources, particularly precarious with staff and outsourcing. If you can't hire the person, then you're not feeling comfortable with that step variable, then look into outsourcing. You're going to make probably less money from an hourly basis. You might have to pay that contractor $75 an hour, where you are paying the staff $20 an hour, but you're only using the contract maybe 2 hours a week, where you're paying that staff for sometimes 30 or 40 hours a week. And then you have all this time that you're sitting around not doing anything. So those are the kind of decisions you have to make, and you have to treat them differently depending on whether you're growing or slowing. I'm going to introduce a term that many people have not really wrapped their brain around, but I'd like to introduce it to you today. It's called opportunity cost. Now, this comes into play when you're dealing with your client base. And sometimes you get a client who's they've been shamming with you. They may have come on board with you when you were just getting started, and now they expect the same kind of hand holding, and you really can't do it because you're a growing company. And when you do that, we incur what we call opportunity costs. Opportunity cost simply means, what's the difference between what I'm gaining by choosing door number one versus door number two? If I choose door number one and it had $100 bill behind it, but I chose door number two that had a $50 bill behind it, I have an opportunity cost of $50, because that opportunity, by choosing one over two, there was a difference, and that's a cost. We have to make those kind of decisions, and we have to be a little more strategic as we're making our decisions about what clients we accept, what services we offer, because you can't be in 2 or 3 places at the same time. If you have a client that's actually, they gave you $100, but they're using up $2,000 worth of services, you can literally say that was a $1,900 opportunity cost, because you lost that money because you weren't out servicing that $2,000 customer. Now, this can be perceived as kind of cold and heartless, but you can help these people in other ways. You can refer them. You can offer them a different level of service. You can maybe take them on as a pro bono. and maybe make them what we call a portfolio client. So, look, I'm going to take this client on because I know they talk a lot. They got a big circle, and I'm going to use that circle to help grow my business. But know this: opportunity cost is real, and the failure to understand opportunity cost can actually be a cost to your business. Um, Now, service is another one of those factors you have to consider when you're talking about growing or slowing, or whether you're talking about growing gains or growing pains. Service is, I'm talking about customer service. Uh, you, there is never a good time to cut back on service. I'm going to say that again for the people in the back. It is never a good time to cut back on service, whether you're growing or slowing. You will have growing gains, not growing pains, by providing good service. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a secret sauce of marketing and business development I am going to share with you today, and I've been sharing it for the past 20 years. I'm going to continue to share it. You cannot go wrong by providing good service. As a matter of fact, exceptional service is part of the Gatewood brand. We hear it all the time. We shock people. It's like, I can't believe he did that. That's what you want folks to say when they think about your company. I remember when I first came to the DC area, everybody was talking about Nordstrom's. They said you go to Nordstrom and wear a pair of shoes and run them over and take them and they'll give you your money back. Well, you might think that's a bad business decision if you Nordstrom, but Nordstrom understood what I'm saying. It built a reputation, became part of their brand. That service was a foundational pillar of their company, and it served them well. So instead of always be selling, I'm going to change that AB to always be servicing. And last, but very closely related, is giving. I know you said, Robert, I'm tired of you talking about giving. I don't have anything to give. Well, you always need to put aside some resources for giving. I know, I mean, like you're a spiritual person, people find time to they put a tithe, they put aside 10%, put in the church. Well, you can do that in other ways too. Like I said, supporting businesses in your community, hiring young people, giving them an opportunity, supporting, buying things sometimes you don't really need. I've never known in my many years, I've never known anybody to call me Robert Gatewood. I gave so much that I'm broke now. I've never heard of that. And you probably haven't either. If they say that, they're probably not being very honest. Because when you give, there is something in the universe, whether it's spiritual, whether it's karma, whether it's whatever you want to call it. When you give, you do get it back. And so what I'm going to ask you today to do is you navigate this pandemic, and whether you are growing or slowing, whether you have growing pains or growing gains, you need to look at these particular items I just mentioned, and you can go back and watch the show again. And I didn't give you what I didn't do, in case you didn't notice. I didn't tell you one way or the other what you should do, because what I wanted to do to you today is to plant that seed that these are things that you should be considering. And if you don't give it some thought, if you don't process it, if it's not part of your decision matrix, then you should make it so. Cash flow, money, accounting, human resources, location, marketing, lifetime value, servicing, and giving. It makes a difference, gentlemen. I want to thank everybody for tuning in today. Everybody, you've been a great audience today. Thanks for the comments. Thanks for the love on the birthday. And also, like I said, you can go to the Marketing Pulpit homepage and you'll see that my birthday gift that I mentioned, I'm just going to reiterate just going to give you the quick version again. Be bold, inspire, resist the forces. Think, don't follow the crowd. Hold on, be steadfast. Act, do something. Don't procrastinate and try to be perfect. And why yearn, have a desire to do something that's greater than what you can accomplish alone. Folks, this is the Marketing Pulpit. I'm Robert Gatewood, your host. I'll be back next week at 10:30 right here on the Marketing Pulpit TV show. Go to marketingpulpit.com. Please like us on Facebook, like us on Twitter, like us on Instagram. Also, you can go to YouTube and subscribe to our channel, and you'll get the notices every time we post something up. We post our shows automatically while the show is actually running, and it can be accessed after the show. Also, you can share the show with your network through Facebook. Just hit that share button, and you can share it with others. And right now, we get about 2,000 or 3,000 people right now that watch this show from social media, and I think that number is even greater now when you start looking at the shares and all that other good stuff. We're trying to grow that number because for a business show, just put that in context. For a business show, that's pretty darn good because there's a lot of stuff out on the internet. You can get zillions of followers and viewers. But just know when you start talking about business and things that's going to make people's lives better, for better or worse, the number drops. I know it's terrible, but I don't know if it's human nature or we just like a good joke or good music. But we have to change that way of thinking. We have to because we have some unique challenges. So we need to put our energy and our time on things that's going to help better our community and not make things worse. So on that note, I'm going to close as I always do by saying you can go find out more about me at gatewoodmarketing.com. You can find the show on marketingpulpit.com. And I'll be back next week. And if you want to be successful, you have to do these three things. Do the right thing, do it at the right time, and you have to do it right. Enough talk. Let's get to work.